much for watching and listening to another episode of Never Not Awkward. This podcast today is going to cover some tough subjects, so get some tissue, be prepared, get some ice cream if you're one of those type of people that need that comfort food with you. This is about what happened all the way through to Tanya's death, starting back in March. So it's a long podcast too. So you might have to digest this in a couple chunks to get through it. The first chunk is about 20 minutes and the second chunk is about 40 some minutes. But it covers everything we came across, roadblocks, everything. So sit tight. Like I said, this is a warning. It is sad to lose such a gentle, caring, nurturing spirit in this life. And just get ready. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer them right now. And it might take me a little bit because I'm still dealing with some grief and things like that. So please be patient with me, but I will respond if you have a question about this podcast specifically. So,
okay, so
thanks again.
Welcome to Never Not Awkward, sharing our stories and the laughs we know. From an awkward soul to another, we connect. It's a podcast about life's missteps we'll never forget. It's a podcast about life's missteps we'll never forget. Never not awkward, we're not alone. Sharing our stories and the laughs we know. From an awkward soul to another, we connect. It's a podcast of life's missteps we'll never forget. Never forget, oh, we'll never forget. We'll never forget. There's more, we're just working on it.
All right, so just want to so my first recording kind of sucked, so I have to redo this, and I hate the fact that I have to redo it because my first recording was so, I think I hit a lot of points, so I'm gonna try to recapture them as I go to pick up my daughter from work. I tell you, the first recording it had to do with my nose. As my sister said, I had some bats in the cave. And they kind of just jumped out like crazy. I'm like, oh my God, like what's going on in there? So, and it's not like my nostrils are like gigantic, but they're wide enough that if you if you saw the video, you'd be like, yeah, Tony, you had to fix that. So anyway, I think I'm gonna try to keep this short, but not too short, because I want to make sure that you're getting the facts and not the interpreted facts from me. I've been thinking about this stuff for probably, since she died, So I want to really jump into it. I want to cover some of my grief, but I think what I'm gonna do that in a separate video. I have a dog transport coming up this Friday, I believe. So I think I'm going to talk about that. I'll have 7 hours on the road to really talk about that. So, so let's get into it. What happened? It's a long story. Not really. It's really a short story, but it seems like very long. March 27th, Tanya went to the hospital or the ER because she was vomiting for like 2 or 3 days straight. And I finally convinced her to go to the ER. Nobody wants to go to the ER. And after waiting in the ER for 3 hours, after some CAT scans, waiting for the CAT scans really, they had given her nausea medicine to keep her from vomiting so much, but they had found what they thought was, or what was showing, was a blockage. Didn't know what the blockage was from, but there was a blockage. Moreover than that, she was told that she has cancer. Some stuff showed up on the screen that they didn't like. They didn't like what they were seeing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to brighten this. Take some of this. Trying to adjust this so that you guys can see me a little bit better. But what they had seen on the CAT scan appeared to be cancer. And so the doctor said, you need to call an oncologist and stuff like that. And they also said, hey, if you want, we can try to get rid of that blockage by the nasal gastro stuff, putting a tube through her nose and down and through her into her intestines. And she's like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home and hug my kids. So we went home. They said, hey, liquid diet. And once you're off a liquid diet, once you're holding down stuff from liquid diet, the blockage should pass. But if it doesn't, come back. If you're still vomiting, come back. So that's what kicked this whole thing off. She went to the oncologist. The oncologist issued, hey, you need, a mammogram. You need a pap smear. You need colonoscopy. The oncologist also said, he's like, I see what they're talking about. I see something in your right breast. But we also see, but whatever they're seeing down in your pelvic region, I haven't seen this before, but it's not cancer. We don't think it's cancer. Also, her white blood cell counts were fine. He's like, that's another thing. I'm not seeing anything that is cancerous, right? I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing those signs that you typically see. Now, of course, Tanya has a lot of different things going on. She had fibro. She had, a ton of different things that were happening. So, that could have masked a lot of the stuff that was happening within her. But, I don't know. Onward. That was my little interpretation that I try not to do. But so she goes and has the pap smear, comes back negative. She goes and has the mammogram. That comes back positive with the mass in her right breast. The good news was that there was nothing, it wasn't lymphatic, right? So it didn't affect her lymph nodes or get into her lymph nodes just yet. Which is a lot of strangeness, but we were like, great, happy, joy, all right. Good news is good news, no matter what. She gets a call from her oncologist that verifies, hey, yeah, you have this. You're going to have to get a biopsy of it so we know what type of cancer it is. We go and get the biopsy. They also issue a bone biopsy as well. They schedule one. She hadn't had a colonoscopy just yet. There was a little bit of trouble with scheduling it. Trying to find a right place to schedule it, whatever. Tanya's a tough girl, and I know that there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and I know she was worried. She didn't show that she was worried. I was worried. I didn't show that I was worried. We had a plan, and that was the good thing. So she gets the breast biopsy, a biopsy of the mass in her breast. They determine what type of cancer it is. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we weren't happy with the speed, right? I mean, we were damn near in April, end of April, maybe beginning of May, you know, with this whole biopsy. I think it was more closer to May, like the end of the first week of May that we got that. She also was supposed to get a colonoscopy, and she was like, there's just too much for me to be doing all of this stuff piecemeal, you know, because they would have to put her, you know, they use propofol to put you to sleep for the colonoscopy, and then she would have had to go, like, within a day, less than 24 hours, to go get the bone biopsy. And she's like, it's just too much. I'm just going to go get the bone biopsy. So she gets the bone biopsy, and then that comes back negative. All right, so we're like, well, all right, you know, let's get ready to deal with the real issue, right? The breast cancer. So third week of May comes around. I believe it was third week of May. She starts getting sick again. She starts vomiting again, you know. But this time we go back to the same ER, and the doctor basically says, you know, they always get locked in on the cancer thing. Like, we had told them, hey, you know, she has cancer. It's on the chart. When we filled out the paper, when she got admitted, I have cancer. He's like, well, you know you have cancer. It's like fucking genius, right? She's having all kinds of pains in her abdomen. It really wasn't the vomiting. It was really just the pains, extreme pain. And he gives her a shot of something. I don't remember. It starts with a T. But it helps with the pain. And he's like, you know, take Tylenol and ibuprofen for this. North Carolina people, I'm telling you right now, I struggle with staying in this state at this point because of the medical stuff. They would not give her anything stronger than ibuprofen or Tylenol. So, and then he injects his religious belief. Do you go to church? Was his response. Go to church. God is real. Is that like your... I'm sorry. I'm like getting way off because I'm getting upset. So we go home, and I say, babe, call your doctor. Call the primary. Let's see if there's something else we can do. We call the primary, and she's like, come in and see me. And we tell her the whole story. It's like 3 days later, because she went on the weekend again. 3 days later or something like that. And she goes in. The primary says, look, I'm going to send you over to my hospital. And I'm not going to mention the hospital systems and stuff like that because you know, they didn't take care of her, and I'm kind of pissed off at them. So she goes to her primary's hospital, and they admit her right away, you know, and the way these hospitals seem to work is that the surgeons or the medical team, if it's like a surgery type issue, then the surgeons take over. They don't have multiple people. Like in New Jersey, you get a case, and you get oncologists, you get surgeons, you get PAs, you get all these people working on your case together to try to help save you, to give you the best medical attention. And this didn't happen. So anyway, the surgeons look at her and say, hey, you have a blockage. And they admit her, right? So we go to a very nice floor in the hospital, actually. And I stayed the whole time with her. And The surgeons say, hey, we're going to try to see if you can pass this. And they give her all kinds of stuff, contrast to drink. And she ends up passing it or whatever happens. Because I'll tell you the story further down. And she may have had a blockage then, but other things happen. So she was supposed to go to Oregon. They discharged her because she passed the blockage. She feels a lot better. And they said, hey, come back if you start vomiting again, and we're going to have to do the nasal gastro thing. And let's jump back a couple steps. Before she got the contrast, they tried 5 times to put this damn tube down her goddamn nose. 5. They almost killed her just trying to put the tube down her nose the final time because it curled up into her lungs. She couldn't breathe. Poor girl. My poor baby. So, jump forward now. She's supposed to go to Portland. I didn't want her to go to Portland just because of everything that was going on. She still wasn't feeling 100%. We get in a short argument on the way to the airport, and I'd say to her, hey, you really want me to say this? You really want me to go and come out and say it? And she was like, what? And she's angry. Because she didn't want to go to Portland because she wasn't feeling like crap. She's like, what? Everybody wants me to go. I don't want to disappoint people. And I'm like, Tanya, no one wants you to go. Me and the kids have already discussed this. We want you to stay home. She's like, well, it's a lot of money. She always worried about wasting people's money. She's so conscious, just so... She didn't want to be a burden. She didn't want to be a burden at all. And it sucks. If you're one of those people, if you got caring people in your life, you're not a burden. You're not annoying. You're not a problem. Okay? I'm saying this to you. Anyone that's listening to this or watching this, if you have people that care about you and they're telling you that you're not a burden, you're not a problem, then you're not. I'm telling you right now. So don't act like you are. It's anxiety. It's something going on in your head. And you need to, work on that for me, please. All right, so going to continue this where I left off. Going to grab some coffee this morning, but so we left off. Tanya got back. We got back from the airport, and your dinging pedal. Hold on for a second. Pedal likes riding in the front seat with me, and she's heavy enough to trigger the seat alarm. Anyway, so we canceled our flight at the airport, and when I say at the airport, we're standing in front of the drop-off in front of Delta Airlines, and she was so distraught that she couldn't figure out how to work the app. So I jump out of the car, grab her suitcases, and say, hey, wait a minute, give me a second. I grab her phone, or I ask her for her phone. And I was like, here, you're canceled. Let's go home. So we head home. We're both so distraught. I got lost on the way home. You know how many times I've driven to the RDU airport? We got lost. I took a wrong turn. We ended up in Chapel Hill, which is about 35, 40 minutes from where we should have been. We should have been back by like Holly Springs or someplace like that by then. And I was like, wait a minute, we're going the wrong way. Anyway, we get home, and she goes and lies down. By this time, we had left at like 5:30 in the morning time, and by the time we got home, it was like 8 o'clock, 8:30. So thinking about the drive that we took, she settles in, and she's not feeling well. I can tell she's not feeling well. And this was a Saturday. And she was so disappointed. Let me just back up real quick. She was so disappointed because she hadn't seen our West Coast kids for months. You know, I mean, she saw Alex back in December when he took a trip, but she hadn't seen Zelina for over like two and a half years. And it's a shame that the last time she saw Zelina was on her deathbed. Rolling up windows now, people. I don't know if the wind is affecting this recording, but I don't want it to, because I don't want to have to redo this for another time. But the last time she saw Zelina was when she died. After two and a half, 3 years. Which makes this even sadder. But she ends up back in the hospital. Let's see, we end up going back to the hospital, blah blah blah, on like a Tuesday. At the end of May. So if I'm counting my days right, you know, it was like May 28th or something like that. She's in pain, vomiting again. This time we have a different surgeon. And, you know, they're doing the same thing. Like, you have to pass a blockage. You know, they take it through the CAT scan, they see blockages and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, this might be from scarification or scarring from your surgery that you had. You know, Tanya's had a lot of surgeries. You know, gallbladder, appendectomy, and her gastric sleeve. So she had a lot of surgeries. So they're thinking it might be scarring or it might be a blockage. So this surgeon decides, I want to go in and see what's going on. Even though they know that she has cancer, and they see that there might be cancer in her intestines, but they're not sure. So this surgeon decides that we want to do an exploratory surgery. Of course, you know, we're like, whatever it takes to get her healthy, right? To get her at least to the point where she's not in pain anymore. Let's find out. Let's go remove the blockage. And they do the surgery. It's a laparoscopic surgery, you know, where they put the things in. It's kind of robotic, and, you know, they do the whole Xbox thing and trying to locate whatever. Good news is there's no scarring. There's no blockage. But there's cancer all throughout her intestines. So I was told this. Anyway, I'm sorry. I was told this on that evening after the surgery. They pulled me into, you know, how the surgeons do a little counseling. And they say, hey, you know, we want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. This has happened, that has happened, yada, yada, yada. She showed me pictures. She was like, this is what you're dealing with. You know, you said you're going to MD Anderson. Follow through with that. And we're like, yeah, absolutely. You know, that's our plan. Next Monday, we're leaving for that. She gets discharged within less than 24 hours. On a Saturday. Saturday the 3rd, I believe. Don't mark my words. June 3rd. And she was feeling fine. You know, they discharged her again, North Carolina. It's like, make this lighter for you guys, but it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to make it that successful. There we go. North Carolina hospitals or medical systems. So she gets discharged with oxycodone, which she was like, I can't take because it just makes me sick. So they're like, okay, we'll give you tramadol. So tramadol is basically a stronger Tylenol. Doesn't really do shit. And it's like, you can offset the one with the other, basically take one every 4 hours and another every 4 hours. So ibuprofen, Tylenol, and tramadol. Those three. I push back on the doctor and say, hey, can you give her anything stronger? Like, she has cancer, what she's dealing with. And they're like, the only thing we can give her is oxycodone. Now, for a state that doesn't want people getting addicted to medication to give you oxy versus giving you something else like Dilaudid. Because I did ask, hey, can you give her Dilaudid, at least, a Dilaudid, whatever. Can you give her these things? Because we know these help. She's been discharged with these before in New Jersey. And no, this is all we can give her. The other key factor is that she did not get any antibiotics. And that'll become more apparent in my next section. She gets home, she goes to bed, she's in pain because of the surgery and all this stuff. Wakes up the next morning, and not even the next morning, like by that night, her surgical areas are leaking, and they're like, don't cover them, they said, call us if there's discharge. Well, leaking is part of surgery, right? Because you just injected a bunch of stuff into her, put air into her and all that stuff. So, there was no pus or blood or anything like that. So we decide, not call. I mean, I pushed to call. I was like, hey, I think we need to call. She's like, no, let's not call. Let's just get to MD Anderson. I'm like, okay. And this time she's gotten incontinent, and I know she didn't want me to talk to anybody about that. She didn't want people to know that she basically was in diapers. But at the same time, I know Tanya, and I know that she would want you to know. Like, she was not shy about sharing medical stuff with people in case you're in the same situation that she is in. And that's the only reason why I kind of break that privacy barrier, is because I know that she would want you to know. She was very open with her Facebook family. So, I ran out, got her diapers and stuff like that, and I was like, babe, I said, this is getting worse. I think we need to go to back to the hospital. And she's like, no, get me to MD Anderson. I'm like, okay, I can do that. So this was a Sunday. And fast forward through to Monday, I had to pick up for Enterprise at 6 o'clock. I go up there, 6 p.m. I go up there, go get a Suburban, because I figured the bigger the vehicle, the more comfortable she'll be. We've driven across countries and country in these, and she was very, very comfortable. So it's people in the background, so sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. But we get the Suburban, we leave 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night, and I was like, okay, we're going to drive through as far as we can, and then we'll stop. You let me know when you're in pain. So we didn't make it 2 hours. I mean, barely 2 hours. We made it basically barely outside of a small town in Virginia. I think it was Springfield or Spring something. Can't remember off the top of my head. Fairfield Inn. Very nice place. And we check in. with Petal, our super dog here, and she could barely walk. She could barely walk. I'm trying to keep it together because this story just starts dive bombing after this. So the next day we get back in the car. Tanya's in worse shape. She's just declining. And the only reason why I know this now is because, before you're kind of in that zone. You're like, I need to get my wife or my loved one to this place. I need to rescue this person. So I help her get in the car. We hit the road, and I'm like, babe, just let me know if you need to stop again. It doesn't matter if it takes us 2 or 3 days. It doesn't matter as long as we get to MD Anderson on time in that office. And she's like, yeah. But she toughed it out. With the traffic going up 95 was so horrible that day. It took us an extra hour to get to my parents' house out in Egg Harbor. We get there, and she's struggling. She's struggling to get up those steps, man. She's struggling. She didn't want to be downstairs. I tried to get her to say, babe, let's just sleep downstairs. But she didn't want to because she would have had to share a bathroom with my parents, and she was dealing with the incontinence. And my mom helped her up the stairs. My mom's a personal trainer, and she helps Tanya get up the stairs step by step. And she gets into bed. We're in New Jersey. Thank God. MD Anderson tomorrow. We wake up the next day. I'm trying to finish this, but I'm at sheets, and I don't want to start crying. So in the car, we wake up the next day. She struggles down the steps. We go to MD Anderson, and the doctor basically, I bring all the paperwork, I bring all the photos, I bring all the everything that I could bring, digital stuff, digital copies, records. We get to MD Anderson. The people at MD Anderson are so great. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a loved one dealing with cancer, don't settle for less. Take them to the best facilities that you can get to. You will figure it out. You will figure it out. You will figure it out. You have friends. You have family. You will figure it out. Take them to the best place that you can. MD Anderson was so fabulous with the way they cared for Tanya, even for those couple of days that, she talked to the doctor. The doctor looked at her. She's like, I'm worried for you. I'm going to call some of my surgical friends and see if there's anything we can do immediately. I don't know what's going on, but we need to help you. Tanya she didn't even have a chance to start her treatment. She got tamoxifen. And the doc said, I want you to start this tomorrow morning. Every morning, once every morning. Tanya said, great, yes, absolutely. We get home, Tanya gets in bed, we go to sleep, she's not really eating anything. She's, I go to the store, I go get her liquids and all kinds of stuff with electrolytes and stuff that will help her. Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna come back. I need to gather myself. today, or the last few days, have been something else, man. I've been trying to record this podcast for a few days, and I did one, and only part of the video recorded audio. I did another, my battery died, and now I can't find the rest of my batteries. So it's been a trying a few days, man, to try to record this, and it's kind of like it's not to be recorded. It's just it's been challenging. So here we are back in my bedroom studio, and I'm still having difficulties here and there. So I apologize if things aren't just right as they normally are, but I'll have some stories about that as well in the next podcast, because I did talk to a few psychic or medium like people, like, in the last few days. Incidentally, I didn't go and go get their services, acquire their services. It was kind of like a family friend and then someone at a shop. And like I said, still things are going awry. So give me a second. I'm going to go and turn off my ceiling fan and check whatever background noise I'm hearing. So give me one. It's been trying, big time. All right, let's try to finish this. It is an emotional day for me as well. It's just everything. I don't know what to say. So we left off with Tanya, us urgently having to go to the ER. we I head downstairs. I tell my father, we got to go to ER right now. Tanya, she's like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm like, okay, take your time. I'll get the car together. I'll get your bags together. The whole thing that we do. She's been to the ER 5 times already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times already, or 4. This will be the 5th and final. And I get my stuff together. I get her stuff together and load up the car. We had Petal with us, so I made sure Petal had everything she needed before we head out. We get on the road. It was like 5ish, 4:30, 5ish o'clock, and Tiny. Well, let me back up a couple steps. Tiny has a major difficulty getting down the steps, and as you can hear, my dog, or not my dog, my cat. I have a million things going on in this house right now. It's just like, oh my god. Um, it is distracting. So she has a horrible time trying to get down the steps. She finally gets down to the bottom of the steps. She sits on the bottom step and says, okay, how far is the car? And I'm like, the car is, about 30, 40 feet from where you are right now. But you still have another, you have to go down the steps outside. It's only a couple steps, but to her, it was a mountain. We get to the car, and Tanya's struggling. Remember, I had the Suburban. My plan was to trade in a Suburban at the rental place and get a smaller car. But this situation kind of didn't give me a chance to, because we've only been in New Jersey for a day, 2 days. She gets to the car. I'm helping her. She gets to the car, and a Suburban's high off the ground, and she's like, I can't get in the car. I can't. I'm like, babe, you can do this. Come on, let's do this. Come on, and she's leaning on the outside, have the seats all open and everything, and she's trying. She's trying. We probably tried for 10 minutes to get her into this car. We tried so hard. I went for the other side, tried to pull her in, and she's still having issues. I finally, my dad helps her. We're pushing and pulling. She gets in the car. She rolls onto the floor. She gets into the bench seat in the back. I jump into the front seat, tell my dad, hey, I'll call you. He prays for her. And my dad said to me later, he's like, he's like, I knew she was in trouble. He's like, I knew she was in trouble when you guys got into that car. She looked really sick. So I head for the highway. I'm driving as fast as I can and get on the Atlantic City Expressway. And I'm probably doing, or the Garden State Expressway, then the Atlantic City Expressway, heading towards Cooper. And I turned to her and said, babe, you sure you want to go to Cooper? Like, there's hospitals around here. And she's like, no, get me to Cooper. Please get me to Cooper. Cooper's like an hour away. So, sorry. Okay. So we get on the Atlantic City Expressway. I'm probably hitting 100 miles an hour. I look at the gas, because I hadn't filled up the car yet. It was in my plans. So I'm like, oh my God, we only have like 20 miles worth of gas left in the car. And I'm driving like a bat out of hell. I'm passing people. I don't care if I get pulled over or not. Meanwhile, in the back, Tanya's screaming, oh God, please don't let me die like this. Please don't let me die like this. My heart sunk. And I said, babe, please, let's just go to another hospital. And again, she goes, no, get me to Cooper. So that's what I did. Oh, we raced as fast as we could. I'm checking on her. You okay? You okay? I'm fine. Please just go. And at that time, rush hour in Jersey is, I forgot how bad rush hour is. So she calms down. She feels a little bit better. And I'm like, babe, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. All right. Okay. I really need to get gas. I don't think we're going to make it if I don't get any gas. And she goes, okay, stop for gas. So we're at around Route 130 for you guys in New Jersey. I threw $10 in the tank. And I throw $10 in the tank, and I, get her to Cooper. We pull into the ER department, parking, and I run in, ask them for a wheelchair, run out, help her get into a wheelchair, wheel her in. Now her doctor had already called ahead of time. Her oncologist called ahead of time. So our wait at the check-in desk was probably like a good 10 minutes. It was long enough for me to park the car, run back, and be there in time to get her through. So, to do the triage thing, her blood pressure is low. Tanya suffered from POTS as well. So it wasn't surprising that it was low, but it was very low. They have a doctor look at her immediately, and he's like, "You have, I forgot what it's called. It's basically when you're moving, your blood pressure drops, right? Your body's not producing enough pressure to keep your blood pressure up. Guys, this is a tough story, man. This is a tough story. It's this part of the story is just so difficult. It is, because I've never heard Tanya. I never heard Tanya in this much pain. That's why I tell you when I say she's tough, and she hid a lot of stuff, not purposefully, but she didn't want to be, again, I mentioned in another video, she didn't want to be a burden. She didn't want to be a problem. She was a person that cared for everyone else. She was not used to being cared for. So a lot of her pain was masked or fought or medicated or whatever so that she could continue the being normal, appearing to be normal. So they give her pain medicine. They give her Dilaudid and some other stuff. They're mixing, the cocktails that they do. They have her on a gurney in the ER because the ER is so busy. Camden, New Jersey, Cooper Hospital. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? Nothing against them. I think the hospital is fantastic. Unfortunately, there's no beds available. So Tanya is left in the hallway to be cared for in the hallway for the meantime. She was in so much pain at one point. She's laying on her gurney saying, "Somebody help me. Somebody help me." And oh my God, I don't know what to do. Like, what do you do? You try to grab nurses, you try to get people to pay attention to you. Again, full hospital, the ER's packed. They're doing everything they can. Finally, they get, by the way, that's my dog snoring. Like I said, this is just a day where recording is not going to be the most ultimate, but I want to get this done because I'm hurting. I'm hurting bad. Just working through this, but at the same time, with my grief and stuff like that, I just need to get this done and out so that the story is delivered. And I'm trying to give you the details, the facts and the details as well. So they get her to her room, and Tanya's telling me to go home. She's like, "Go home." She's like, "You need your sleep. You need your sleep. Please, baby, go home." I didn't want to leave her. I knew she was right, but I didn't want to leave her. She's like, "I'm all right. I'll be okay." So they get her into like a little ER private room, and I go home. I'm checking with her. I'm texting her. She's like, "Don't give me something to sleep. I'm going to sleep. I'll be all right." Next day, I wake up to text around 7 a.m., 6 o'clock, 7 a.m. something like that, 6 o'clock, I believe, because I woke up early. And she's like, "You need to get here now. I'm going to the ICU." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like, "I'm going to the ICU. There's something wrong." I'm like, "Okay." I jump up. Basically, I slept in my clothes from the night before. So I just jump up, grab my stuff, tell my mom and dad, I'll be, what's going on. And I leave. Get to the ICU, or get to the ER, and the ICU team's ready to take her. Tanya's asking me to rub her feet. Please rub my feet. She loved foot rubs. Then again, what women don't like foot rubs? That's kind of a note to you guys out there. Rub your girl's feet, man. But she's like, please rub my feet. So I'm rubbing her feet, and she's telling the nurse, the one nurse, she's the male nurse. See, I told you he gets such the best foot rubs. And I'm like, I do? Like, I never knew that, right? So they prep her to go to ICU. The ICU doctor pulls me aside, says, "Hey, they're going to go this way. Let's you and I take a walk, and we'll take the other elevators." They have her on a crash cart. They have her on all kinds of stuff, man. They're like, that's scary when they start hooking you up to extra machines to the bed, that the bed already has machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it already had like her IV drips and all this other stuff, and now they have her on the crash machine. They have her on a special machine that keeps track of her blood pressure, and it was shocking. So the ICU doctor, as they're taking her into the ICU, 1112, her bed was 112, or yeah, and she says, "Let's sit down, let's talk." It's not good when a doctor says, "Let's talk." She's in bad shape. I'm afraid that she's in bad shape. And I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?" She was like, "If there's family, you need to start gathering them now." Of course, I broke down. I started crying. And she was like, "Look, with the cancer and the infection, whatever this is that we're fighting," she was like, she doesn't have a really good chance. It's not that she doesn't have a chance, there's a very slim chance. So I called my sister immediately. Sister sang. I call my kids, or I text them, because we have a family chat and Hangouts, or Google chat. "Hey guys, I need you to get here immediately. If you need help, let me know. Mom's not doing great." All of my kids, my kids are fabulous kids, man. They're very good kids. They're fabulous kids. They're like, we were already on our way down. My son Alan was like, "I'll be there tomorrow." Same thing with my daughter Z. Same thing with my daughter Zoe. They were already around. It breaks my heart that with that, Tiny was still called home. So I go get the kids the next day. I hang out with Tanya, talking to her. She's kind of out of it at that point. "Babe, you're okay. Kids are coming. Kids are coming. Kids will be here." So the kids land on. This was just for timeline sakes. Thursday went to the ER. Friday morning ICU. Saturday All my kids arrived. By Saturday, all my kids arrived. I think a couple of them, or one or two of them, arrived a day early. I had to go pick them up. So I believe my daughter Zoe from North Carolina came up and on Friday. But Saturday, all the kids were there. Came saw Tanya. She was weak. Voice is very weak. But she had sepsis, and we hung out all day with her until, of course, they had visiting hours. I also have to say that my sister came up. A number of family members came up. My aunt Becky. You know, the funny thing is that I spent a lot of my time in my life, moving around. Me and Tanya, we love moving. We love new places, but you don't realize how much you miss your family when something like this happens. So, and I know there's a lot of families out there that you're struggling with each other. This one did that, this one said that, but your family. And this is the time when you need family. So if there's anything I can say to any of you that are having family issues, fix it, man. Because one day you're going to need those people surrounding you, helping you fight, helping her fight, helping them fight, whoever fight. You're going to need them to support you in whatever facet that means. Tanya was showed that she had a large family because everyone answered the call. Everyone that was close to her came up to that hospital. Friends, family, even some of her social media friends, came up, which really surprised me because I'm not a big social media person. I just, I got my issues with it, but I'm figuring things out. I wish I had spent more time learning that than I have before, right? So I'm figuring that out. But everyone responded. People came up. People saw her. Sunday, she looked better. She was responsive. She was talking. She was joking a little bit. She started talking about ice cream. Tanya loved ice cream. She started by talking about getting off a liquid diet because she'd been on a liquid diet for weeks, really. Uh, Off and on, she was able to eat things here and there, but for the most part, she was on a liquid diet. Um, Monday comes, she looks bright. Her eyes were crystal blue as for like the first day I saw her. It was like the first day I met her, just crystal blue. She looked so beautiful, so wonderful. She was responsive. She was asking for, she was asking Zoe to do her nails. She was asking Zoe to do her little lip hairs. She's like, "Can you hook a girl up, please? Can you get a wax kitten? Take care of me. Can you do my hair?" She was like, "You know what? Just get some clippers." Tanya was ready. She was ready for chemo. She was ready. She was absolutely ready. She was like, "I'm going to do what I have to do." Just the time did not play in her favor. The nurses in the ICU were gems. They were awesome. They were great. I can't speak enough about the nursing team and the medical team that responded and helped oncologists, surgeons, PA assistants. I mean, everyone there was on it, little small note, I guess Tanya was put on dialysis on Sunday night. her kidneys weren't working that well. So they was like, look, we got to help you process some of the stuff out of your body. She was on it not long. They took her off because her blood pressure started crashing again, I think like Monday night. And they ended up putting a catheter down through her neck into her heart so they could apply medicine. And she had this before, but they had pulled it out because she was doing better. She was doing great. I mean, I'm telling you, when I saw her, it was like, oh my God, and I remember asking her, I said, how's your spirit, babe? How are you feeling? She's like, I feel great. The sun's shining. When I asked the nurse to open up my blinds and the sun came in and hit me on the face, I feel great. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Awesome. Tuesday comes. She looks great. She looks fine. She's talking. I make sure we have a Plex system, media system, and all that stuff. I gave her my tablet on days before, so she had something else to watch. She watched her movies that she always go to and watch were Harvey with my favorite actor, um, which I can't recall right now. Give me a second. But she also watched Clue, Big Trouble in Little China, and The Wizard of Oz is her ultimate favorite movie in the world that calms her soul and her nerves. She loved the Cowardly Lion. That was her favorite character, right? Um, can't remember the name of the actor in Harvey right now, but he's one of my favorite actors. He played Edward P. Dowd. And if you guys see him on Reddit, sometimes that's who I am. I'm Edward P. Dowd. So, she made a couple posts on Instagram. I know she reached out on Facebook, said, hey, I'm in a hospital, blah, blah, blah. Come see me, yada, yada, yada. Like I said, people responded and came and saw her. Some reached out to her via chat and all that stuff. I'm beating around the bush because it's hard to retell this story, the fast ending of the story. So Tuesday, I left her that night. She was great. I said, I love you, babe. We'll be back to see you tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning time. 7 o'clock in the morning, I get up, brush my teeth, talk to my kids. Hey, getting ready to head up. While I'm brushing my teeth and confirming with the kids, I missed a call. I called them back. There's some other things I didn't add into this story. Palliative care called me on Sunday. I didn't know what palliative care was, to be honest with you. She explained it, but my brain was in a fog at that point. And basically, for you guys that don't know, it's basically when you have a family member who is in distress and they don't think they're going to make it, but they're going to be in some type of critical or long-term care for quite some time. In other words, she was a slow code. And the real reason why I'm using that phrase is because she loved the movie, uh, uh, the Artemis Hotel. And the nurse in the Artemis in the movie explains what a flow code is. It's basically getting the family used to the possibility or that the fact of this person is going to die. Back to Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. I get a call. I missed the call. I returned the call. She's not doing well. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? You need to get up here now. So what happened those few days before? I've been told it's called rallying. You're putting up your best or your last fight. And that's the reason why she brightened up and perked up like that. So I go to the hospital. My kids and I, we race over there. I call my other my daughter Zelina, and we all race up there. We all meet, and we're told that she is not going to make it. Well, let's take a step back. I kind of jump forward. Visit by the surgery team. Surgery team says, "Look, oh, well, all right. Let's jump a couple more steps back." So I meet with the doctor on staff that day, and she says, "Look, we're going to take for a CAT scan. Her blood pressure keeps dropping, very very low. Tanya was barely responsive. I went and saw her, talked to her. She kept asking me and my son to help lift her up, pull her up so she can readjust her body. But she didn't have the strength. Like we were holding her and she just couldn't do it. And I was like, babe, you're going to do a CAT scan. So hold on, let's get your CAT scan. So they take her for a CAT scan. We move out of the room and uh, we're sitting in the family waiting area and I can hear her screaming in pain. Surgical team comes to us and says, well, again, I'm jumping ahead. The palliative team care team comes to us and takes us into a room and says, we have to ask you this. We're sorry. Does she ever talk about being resuscitated, being on life support systems, any of that stuff? Tanya did not want to be resuscitated. She did not want to be on life support. She told me that many, many times. And factually, she told me that probably a year ago. Her and I were sitting on the couch talking. This was before she even had cancer. We had those kinds of talks all the time. And she's like, if I'm supposed to go, just let me go. That was tough to hear that. I told her, like, nah, man, put me up to whatever. If you have to make me a cyborg, like, straight up, like, put all the diodes, electrodes, and computer chips as possible in me. I've since changed my mind with that. Um, you know, especially with all that's happened. But she had do not resuscitate and chest compressions, all that stuff. She said no to years ago. And matter of factly, she had that discussion with my son when the last time she saw him in Oregon when they were together in October when she had COVID. Um, so I was devastated even to have to make those type of decisions. But the family supported me. We all, we talked about it and we agreed. So what next? We come out. Um, the surgery team comes to me, one of the surgical members. They say, look, we found a perforation and that's letting the air in. And I'm like, okay, they're like, well, it's possible we can fix it, but she might die on the table. She will have tubes in her, right? She'll have a feeding tube as well, a colostomy bag. And, you know, we need to know if that's what direction you want to go. And, the big question is, how long is that going to sustain her with the cancer, right? And the big answer, or the answer was, we don't think long because it's all through our intestines. So we said, okay, Let us think about it. Now we have to be faced with the possible surgery, right? Doctor comes and talks to us next. At this time it's probably 2 o'clock. Time doesn't matter when you're living in the present. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Time does not. When this stuff goes down, time doesn't matter, man. Like I couldn't tell you what time it was, even if I had a watch on. You know. But the reason why I know what time it was around 2 ish. The doctor came out, talked to us. Then I called her brother. Said, "Hey, this is not looking good." I called her sister. Uh, you know, a little bit earlier than that, and I kept checking in with them and saying, "Hey, I think she's not going to make it." So we had a discussion with the doctor. The doctor says, uh, "We think you're making the right decision. We're waiting for the surgeon, the the head surgeon to come down and talk with you." Um, but they explain, "Hey, she can go painfully or she can go peacefully." That was what I was told by the doctor. We go see Tanya. We're standing by her bedside while we're waiting for the head surgeon to come in. And she looks up and she goes, "Whoa, am I dying?" And I say, "Yeah, babe, you are." And the next words, man, like, who says this? Like, she was like, "I'm sorry." All of us started crying. All of us. And she just closed her eyes because she was so weak. This was tough, you know. Head surgeon came over, said, "Hey, you guys have time to talk." Sat and talked with him, and he explained everything. He's like, "Look, we can go in, we can try." He said, "She might die on a table. She has to survive getting the medicine to be sedated, right? She has to survive that with her blood pressure the way it is. There's a chance she might die on a table." He said, "We will do everything we can to support her and make sure that she doesn't, but it's just a matter of fact." I said, "Okay." And then he's like, then we have the tubes, then we have all those other things that were explained to you. I'm going to paraphrase this stuff for you guys because I've been repeating a lot of stuff already. But then he said something to me to get my final okay to let her go. And I'll tell you today, I with my grief and everything, I still regret it. But he goes, she even if we do this, she might have a few weeks, maybe a month. And what's her quality of life going to be? And that's the reason why I came to the decision. If Tanya could not drive, if Tanya could not play with her dog, if Tanya could not do those things that she loved so much, she was a foodie. What foodie wants to be fed with a feeding tube? You tell me. She already thought that she was a burden to everyone because, just how I had to care for her in the last few years. What would that do to her having being put in a wheelchair, having to have a colostomy bag? You get it. You get it. I don't know why I'm trying to convince you guys I made the right decision. I don't know why. It's just the grief in me. That's it. I'm trying to convince myself, really. I'm still dealing with that. And I'll do another video on that. So the final decision with the family there, we all decided that, yeah, let her go peacefully, let her go now. As much as I wanted to hold on to her. If I could have traded places with her, I would have in a heartbeat. So they started, taking her off of blood pressure medicine quickly, slowly, administering fentanyl drip at the same time. My kids surrounded the bed, and I watched her fall asleep. The kids actually left, towards the end, very end, because the doctor explained to me sometimes it gets traumatic. People scream, some people make certain noises and all that stuff. But my mom, my dad, my sisters, uh, Bishop Harley, all surrounded her bed, and she passed around 6:37 on June 14th, 2023. But I will say this, and I'll have more to say. Tanya's still here. She's still here in spirit and love. She's still all around each and every one of us. And I have some proof to this that I'll talk about in upcoming videos. But I will do everything in my power to keep her spirit alive. With doing the dog transports, driving, visiting friends, and going to beaches, and all those other things that we said we were going to do. It's keeping me whole right now. It's keeping me sane. I'm not doing it for you guys. You guys are just coming along for the ride, really. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for Tanya. So, as always, if you need me, if you want to talk, you can always reach out to me on Facebook. I do have an email at Tony. It's called Tony at nevernotawkward.com. Always remember, just live in the present as much as possible. Right? Be mindful. Be kind. Don't cling onto those things that take you away from all the positive. Until next time, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. Thank you for supporting me. I don't know where I'd be without you guys. So, until the next time, talk to you.